what a way for the divisional round to end after the miracle Caleb Williams 4th and 4 that somehow topped the throw the week before.
Diet Pat.
Oh, Diet Mahomes?
Diet Pat.
When he was running back and sprinting back, my brain instantly said, game over.
Absolutely.
This is done.
Yeah, it's like he's trapped. He's cooked. Like he made that one faulty turn, that one bad turn where it's like, uh-oh, you're cooked now. And I don't know.
Nobody gets out of that. Nobody ever gets out of that in the NFL. As soon as you start running backwards, you do the turn, and then you just do the flip. Like, I expected to see where they threw it. It was going to end up at, like, the 3-yard line with 3 Rams around one person, and they'd knock the ball down. And instead, it's just like, oh, no, nobody decided to cover here.
He threw it at the 40. How many yards into the end zone? Like, how many
6 yards maybe
yards
in
the air did the ball travel? So a 46-yard throw, and I think they were on the 14.
Yeah, they were.
They were on the 14-yard line, and I thought that was the I am he drive, going left to right on your radio dial. What? Are you going to make a pronoun joke?
I know we would never joke about that.
And then Caleb rushes for a first down, and it's like the Chicago Bears are going to the NFC Championship game, and then the interception where it has to be broken down for years and years there in Chicago with DJ Morph. Well, the old flatten it out versus taking it upfield, and then you have people, Chris Collinsworth, first and foremost, questioning the effort of DJ.
Yeah, because, typically it's the quarterback's going to get blamed for the interception regardless. Like, that's just how it works. That's how it's worked since the very, very beginning. But at the end of the day, there's nuance to all this. And, you could sit there and say, like, that he should have, flattened the route out a little bit. But, so much of this is off schedule now anyway.
What'd you see with that, Bobby, with the interception?
To me, it looked like it was just poor communication and, like, understanding where the ball was supposed to be, where he was supposed to be. It didn't look like I didn't think it was necessarily, like, when I go back and look at it, I more just see that was incredible by Quentin Lake. Good job working back to the ball. It's just that's
communication and defensive play over like effort and going half-ass.
Right? Yeah. Look, that's why they're so big when we get to training camp with the Cowboys. Why there was that time we were out there a couple years ago and Princeton Fant ran some route and Dak called him back and told him to go again. And he goes, "That's 12 and a half. That's not 12." And he's like, "I told you to run 12. This is a 12-yard route. You're going to run it 12 yards. That's why they're so big on precision. You need to be right here. You need to take every step right here because I'm going to throw the ball as if you're right here."
Sean McVay ultimately gets away with being conservative at the end of regulation as they were trying to go ahead and run out that clock, not even attempting to put the ball in the air with the supposed – last night on NBC, they just gave Matt Stafford the MVP. So I guess they know something we don't. He's going to win it over Drake May, according to those guys. But 3rd and 10, they run the ball again. They end up punting. The Bears get it at midfield, and then – the miracle takes place with Tirico on the call.
Command in motion. Williams drifting, sprinting for space, in all kinds of trouble, put it up for grabs to the end zone. He got it! For the touchdown! They've done it again!
The thing is with that touchdown, he had a lot of space.
Yes, there's nobody. He was like... that's there was some people talking about. Yeah, okay, did you push off? But there was 6 yards between him and the defender. He was open. He was just there to catch it.
Cole Kmet, first target, first reception, the hand fighting taking place, and he was open. He had about 2 or 3 yards of separation as Chicago gets sent into a frenzy. And then after being conservative to the end of regulation, Sean McVay is like, all right, screw that. If I go down here in overtime, we're throwing for the touchdown. We're not trying to get closer for the field goal attempts. We are going straight to the end zone. They came out 3 straight times throwing the rock. The humongous, controversial compared to what happened with Buffalo, Devontae Adams catch. Finally, they settle for the 42-yarder from the right-footed Janikowski.
The thicker kicker.
The thicker kicker. And Tirico threw that into his setup, too.
Yeah, this is, this was not just... I didn't understand that. Okay, you got 2nd and 7, and then it's like, oh, let's take a deep shot to Parkinson. Let's take a deep shot to Ferguson. You're not even trying to throw it to, like, your normal, like, our clutch get-through target. Let's throw down the field in tight windows 2 times in a row where the ball could be intercepted. I didn't get that, especially after it was just like, let's play for overtime, boys, twice. Like, I would have 13 seconds left in timeouts. I'm trying to get, like, 2 shots down the field, see if I can get in position for a field goal, especially on the road. But
when you see a change like that, it's like, all right, did somebody get hurt? That they're not telling us about, like, did the running back get a tweak his hammy?
Yeah, the Rams got hurt. They ended up in overtime where they should have won the football game in regulation, and they went, oh crap, let's not do this again.
Who'd you think the better team was, or the team that deserved to win?
Rams. I still thought Rams were not as good as they normally are, but I still thought the Rams were better. I didn't think Chicago was as good as them.
I think Chicago had the best player on the floor, kind of thing. The Rams probably better. Probably the Rams.
877-881-1053 in order to hit us up on the Franco LaFranco Injury Attorney text line, 877-881-1053. They were throwing Matt Stafford off early on. Collinsworth kept talking about the simple pressures that the Rams should have seen the week before. In the third quarter, Stafford had been sacked a season-high 4 times already. So they were getting to him, and it seemed like they were just relying on Kyren Williams. I talked about the physicality of the Rams. They came out with it on the opening drive, and they just decided Kyren Williams, a little bit of Blake Corum, that's what's going to try to bring us home before winging it to the end zone at the end.
Yeah, they're used to playing in the canopy. That's what they played. They played in the LA canopy, and then they were in the elements, and it was like, all right, let's try and minimize risk here. I mean, you saw enough of over the weekend. I mean, there were 3 interceptions from Caleb Williams in this game. There was in the Houston game, we saw the difficulty they had holding onto the football, not turning it over in the elements there with Houston and the Patriots, and so. It could be that McVay was just like, yeah, we're not turning the ball over here. Just ball security and do our best to get our way down the field, and when we need to throw it, we will. But yeah, Stafford was off in this game.
Yes.
But I mean, when the big moments were needed, he delivered. Whether it be a third down completion to Nakua and kind of marching down the field a little bit.
One throw to Devontae. I'm not giving him credit for the throw.
Devontae gets a ton of credit for that. Like, I mean, the fact that he kept. Yeah, and Chicago fans are booing. I don't know what they're booing at. That was so clearly a catch to me, other than just you're being homers and not wanting it to be a catch.
Yeah, the big fight that took place was with Buffalo. I'm trying to save enough time to have that entire catch, non-catch conversation. We may be. I think Choppy may be a little bit more on the fence. The only talk show in America where everyone on air is going to agree that the officials in the Buffalo-Denver game got it right.
Well, look, it's just take the defensive player out of there, right? If that guy wasn't there, is it a catch? That's right? Because the ball came out.
Well,
because
I don't know if the ball ends up on the ground.
Yeah, I think Cooks
he took it from him.
Yeah, he may have. It also could have ground allowed it to break free a bit, and it just kind of fell in his hands. It's first of all, you can't use common sense because the NFL catch rule has never made common sense. And I know there's some of the defensive Richard Sherman was like, that's never been an interception.
Yeah.
It's my issues with the process of it. Not going to review, and why they didn't go to replay, why they did not spend 10 minutes of that is too important to just sit there and say, we got to get the game moving. For what? Because you got to get to the next game? If that's the reason, that's a problem.
They could have reviewed it. I think they're coming back saying the same thing. That's a pick to me. It sucks that, I think the better argument is probably was he interfered with because there was contact before the ball got there. That was closer. But once the ball's up in the air and it's wrestled away and it never touches the ground and it's moving as he's going to the ground, that's I don't understand what the argument is.
Well, people like Dan Orlovsky and Dave Portnoy and everyone else are taking, like they did with Dez, they're taking the still shot and they're taking the rule of finishing the catch to the ground out of it. Mm-hmm. So they're taking the still shot of Cooks with the football, knee down, dead. That's dead in the majority of people's minds. I've looked at multiple polls, and 80% believe that was a catch, but they're taking out of the equation the same thing they got the Cowboys and Dez Bryant with controlling the football and finishing the catch through the ground.
Yeah, my issue is I know what a catch looks like, and I know what an interception looks like. That doesn't look like an interception.
I don't think I think the last thing it looked like was a catch.
And I don't think it looks like a catch either. Like,
If you want to say
it has to be an interception.
I really felt like I agree with you. I really felt like as I'm watching all the replays, I was like, I wish there was a way for this to be incomplete.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, the fair thing at the end of this is incomplete, but the ball never touched the ground.
Right. That's the thing.
And the defender ended up with it.
It never touches the ground, and he never has control. Like, Cooks never really controls the ball. It's like the Antonio Freeman catch years ago on Monday Night Football. The ball never touched. He never really possessed it. Bounces off his arm. It rolls around on his shoulder, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm on my stomach, and I caught it." That was a catch 25 years ago. That's an interception. Ball never touches. Defender, and in fact, if you watch it in real speed, everybody kept slowing it down, or the still image, like you're saying. If you watch it in real time, there's not that much time where, like, ball gets there and the defender doesn't have it. Like, it kind of rolls for a sec, but he gets a hold of it in real time pretty fast. And so to me, that's so clearly an interception that, like, I don't know how Richard Sherman would say that's never been an interception. Yeah, it has. The entirety of the NFL. 40 years ago, that's a pick. They call it a pick regardless.
You got to survive. You got to go through the ground. It's not to the ground. It's through the ground. You got to survive the ground. But again, like, that doesn't look like any interception I've ever seen. You know, to me, that doesn't look like an interception. Doesn't look like a catch either. I'm with you. I wish it was incomplete.
To me, it's like.
So what are you ruling it?
You can't call it incomplete because it never hit the ground.
Right.
So you have to call it interception, even though you don't want to.
So you're not leaning towards catch. You're leaning towards pick.
Yeah,
you're not blowing Cooks down and dead.
The only call it can be is a pick because he didn't catch it because he didn't survive the ground.
Yeah. Pepe, what did you think? You've been watching football for a long time.
My initial thought was, I'm not upset with it being called an interception. I was like, okay, go either way, but I initially thought it was a catch. But when his knee hit the ground, he has possession of the ball. I thought the ground maybe caused the ball to jump up a little bit, but I thought he should have been ruled dead there. And I was also biased. I want it to be called a catch. I was rooting for Buffalo the whole game, but I'm not upset that it's called interception.
McMillan's hands never leave the ball. He makes contact with the ball as it's received. He keeps his hands around it the entire time. I don't understand how this is so like people are just like, wow, Buffalo screwed here. There's nothing about that says that's screwed. He keeps his hands on there the entire time.
Is this an easier decision than the Dez catch?
Yeah, 100%. I don't even think this is a question. I'm surprised this became like. I'm surprised it became like a big controversy.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because it was so bang bang.
I thought more people would say Cooks was like. I figured it'd be a bigger thing of just like Cooks hold on to the ball. Why couldn't you wrestle away? And instead of just wow, we got screwed. But it's Buffalo, and there's excuses for decades, and that's what they do.
What's more of a catch between this and Dez?
Well, this is more clearly like. You could look, obviously with Dez, there's the people who refuse to say the ball ever touched the ground, actually, because somehow the camera skips that frame like the Missing Zapruder film. Dez is, like, they're both, I think, ruled correctly. Dez is absolutely not a catch by the rule. By the rule.
Okay.
So,
but no, because Dez goes up, high points the football, comes down, step forward to lunge. Like a lot of people have said at the time when football move was part of it. That was a lot of people said a football move, and he's reaching out. It's going to the ground because he was diving to reach for the goal line.
Shouldn't have.
I agree that Dez's was more of a catch, but the technical rules getting the Cowboys and the Bills.
Did you think they were about to do the Brandon Cooks ruling to Devontae Adams yesterday when he had his little ball wrestled away? His was definitely way more caught the ball, took steps, and had his knee down.
Well, that's the other big controversy. People are like, how is that a catch? And Brandon Cooks' wasn't. We obviously have time for it this morning.